Let us now study the structure of science. If we analyze the definitions of science, we will find two statements describing science. Science involves methods of inquiry or processes of science. The inquiry results in a body of systematized knowledge or content or concepts. These statements may be summarized as science, methods and knowledge, science as inquiry and concepts, science as different methodologies of science and concepts which present the body or body of scientific knowledge. Now it is possible to infer that the nature of science includes not only concepts or content but also the methodologies which are used to find these concepts. In the last 2 decades, a number of attempts have been made to determine the nature of science. Some of the intellectuals in the field have tried to conceptualize the nature of science. Joseph and Brunner have contributed in this field. It has been concluded that to understand the nature of science, it can be divided into 2 parts: substantive structure of science, syntactical structure of science. Let us now understand the differences in substantive structure and syntactic structure. Substantive structure of science. It is the interrelated collection of powerful ideas that flourish a discipline. It represents a network of related theories and laws, concepts, and conceptual schemes that individual researchers make use of when they set out to solve problems in their discipline. This constitutes the basic knowledge used in science. The substantive structure of any developing science is fluid and dynamic. New empirical observations and new theoretical formulations which make better sense of old observations show that the structure is continuously changing. Example, laws of Mendel. Mendel used the word factors which were later identified and called as genes. The substantive structure of science contains different classes of statements which are expressed as definition, concepts, principles, generalizations, laws and theories. Coming to the syntactic structure of science, syntactic structure of science is the aspect of the nature of science which is concerned with the processes of scientific inquiry, which is the means by which scientific knowledge is acquired and verified. The syntactical structure involved finding out the pathway of inquiry used by scientists, what they mean by verified knowledge and how they go about their verification. It is similar but not identical to the term scientific method. Syntactical structure is concerned with issues such as the way in which new substantive concepts are formed and the way in which different kinds of knowledge or statements may be proved. It is concerned with the modes of thinking and reasoning used in the discipline. The structure of science can be compared to the framework of building under construction. A framework of a building consists of foundation, vertical pillars and horizontal beams. The foundation of the framework is comparable to the broad generalization and the principles of science. The vertical pillars to the theories and the horizontal beams to the methods and process of science. The facts are comparable to building materials, that is stone, bricks, mud, concrete, etc. In this analogy, the vertical pillars and the horizontal beams of science is subject to alteration on the basis of empirical tests. It should be noted that this analogy of building under construction is to facilitate understanding of the structure of science. Let us study the substantive structure. The substantive structure of science represents the major conceptual scheme which constitutes the basic knowledge in science. This substantive structure contains different classes of statements, definitions, direct observations, theory statements, etc., which we may call as key concepts, major concepts, representative ideas, etc. In order to understand the substantive structure of science, we can categorize it into two categories of knowledge: empirical knowledge and theoretical knowledge. Empirical knowledge. The information acquired through observation is known as empirical knowledge. The knowledge so acquired is verifiable and it is the first level of knowledge. Scientists collect this observational data and make statements and perceive facts. These statements can be made into two ways: by observing directly through senses, direct observation statements; by observing with the help of instruments, called as instrumental observation statements. What are direct observation statements? The observation statements made directly by sense are direct observation statements. This type of observation is influenced by one culture and background knowledge. Example, formation of water vapor while boiling the water in a pan with closed lid. What is instrumental observation statement? The statement made by observing with the help of instruments are known as instrumental observation statements. For example, while measuring the diameter of small spheres or thickness of chalk by using vernier calipers or screw gauge. Scientists nowadays use a number of instruments in sciences. Facts. Facts are defined as records of events, and events are things that we observe happening or make them happen. An experiment produces events that are recorded as observed facts, whose regularity we try to explain with relevant concepts. Hence, a fact is thus something that is known to exist or happen, the existence or happening of which is supported through some source. A scientific fact is the one that has been arrived at through scientific method. That is why scientific facts are considered as highly reliable, valid, and objective. Facts are the basic building blocks of knowledge. According to Henry Poincare, science is built of facts as a house is built of stones. But an accumulation of facts is no more a science than a heap of stones. Facts should be directly observable and demonstrable at any time. Example, ice changes into water when kept outside the freezer. The truth of scientific fact is always dynamic, tentative, and provisional instead of being permanent. Scientific facts are always open to be replaced by the newly discovered fact based on scientific findings. They are always open to further verification and subjected to further observation, experimentation, and research. Consequently, they are liable to be modified or changed in the light of sufficient evidence and thus must always be regarded as flexible and dynamic instead of being fixed, eternal, static, and final. Functions of facts. Good and Hatt have enumerated the following functions of facts. They initiate theory. Facts modify the existing theory. Facts redefine and clarify theory. Thus, facts form the basis of all knowledge and responsible for the initiation of theory or law. The whole process of scientific enterprise is continuously replenished by the new facts and discoveries. Facts are the basis of all knowledge. They are said to be grassroots of any theory or law. The whole process of scientific enterprise is continuously replaced by new facts and discoveries. Venus is the planet nearest to Earth. This is a fact. Water boils at 100 degrees is also a fact. Let us now study the Theoretical knowledge. After acquiring the empirical knowledge, scientists perceive facts and establishes cause and effect relationship among the observed phenomena. Then try to explain and describe the observed events and phenomena. And they formulate fundamental concepts, derive laws, principles and generalizations. This type of knowledge is called theoretical knowledge. This knowledge is abstract and portrays a hypothetical picture of the world. This knowledge is based on probability and is not necessarily verifiable. Theoretical knowledge comprises of concepts, conceptual schemes, principles, generalizations, laws, theory, hypothesis.